going on, everyone? Welcome on into another episode of Golf on Tap. Today we'll be getting into our final bets for the 2024 Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill Club and Lodge in Orlando, Florida, the fourth of 8 signature events on the season. Basically, all of the big dogs are here except for Tony Finau. He's the only golfer ranked inside the top 55 who's not in attendance this week at Bay Hill. Joey, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a final bet show, although hasn't been the most stellar events that we missed, as we just kind of discussed off of air. The Mexico Open, kind of a time where people tend to go on vacation. Maybe their coverage of the PGA Tour is a little bit lackadaisical. The COG last week wasn't hashtag not my Honda, as they made it a little bit easier. And once again, bro, another non-favorite comes through with the win. It's been the storyline all season long. The shortest odds we've had win an event so far in 2024 is Jake Knapp at 40-1. And we've had a couple of big names win so far this season in Hideki Matsuyama and Wyndham Clark, but neither of them were really flashing their best stuff before those wins. And Wyndham Clark was like 80-1, 100-1. I think you might have even got him at. Hideki was as big as 80. I know going into that final round, he was 130-1. So the predominant names on the PGA Tour haven't really come through so far this season, Joey, but I know I've been saying this the last couple of weeks. It feels like something's got to give here at Bay Hill because it is a really demanding golf course. I did say this last week about PGA National before they cupcaked it a little bit. I don't think they're going to be cupcaking Bay Hill this week. It's a major-like venue, thick, rough, tough from tee to green. We've had the winner come in the single digits in 3 of the last 4 years. So it's a tournament I'm super excited for, brother. I'm super excited to be back doing the show with you. How you doing this afternoon, my man?
Good, man. First, I'd just like to point out how freaking dope your hat is that you pulled out for this episode. Yeah, man, I'm excited to be back too. This is a fun week. Obviously, Bay Hill, Florida. We've got some really good course history guys here, big dogs here. You could probably guess where I'm going with at least one bet this week, Jack. Not to tease, going to bury the lead here for a minute, but yeah, man, I'm really stoked to be back. I think we got to get back off the schneid for sure. For me, I've kind of taken a couple week break here from betting. So, and that's really overall, not even just golf. But I'm excited to have a little bit more time this weekend, be able to digest it a little bit more, and it's one of those signature events. So I'm excited, man.
And this is the time when you do dive back in. A lot of people probably are doing the same, considering we're into the nitty-gritty of the Florida swing. We got API this week, a designated event as we already outlined, the Players Championship next year, aka the 5th major, and then right around the corner is the Masters at Augusta National. So we're getting into the thick of things here on golf season, and I appreciate the compliment on the hat. I will say the only reason I went with it, though, today is I got to switch up the mojo a little bit, man. It's been a pretty brutal start to 2024 thus far for your boy. I've been on guys a week too early, such as Hideki. I bet Austin Eckgoat in Mexico, where he couldn't make a fucking 5-foot putt to save his life, goes and puts the lights out and puts together a really good tee to green performance to win the COG last week. I had Sahith blow it at Waste Management. So, it's been some close calls, and when you lose this many weeks in a row, it does get discouraging, but I'm trying to find reasons to stay on the straight and narrow, think positively, and maybe I'm not as far as I think, but definitely had to switch up the mojo a little bit, throw on the old Western hat, if you will. I actually purchased this thing in Wyoming when I was at one of my good buddies' weddings. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's from the West out there. So it has nothing to do with Florida, but just switching up the vibes a little bit today because I could desperately use a winner, and I'd love to get it at a course like this, man. We always talk. These are the events that me and you really enjoy, where the guys get tested, the conditions are difficult. So it's shaping up to be a good week, brother. I'm really stoked to get into it with you.
Yeah, man. It might not be like something that's more geared towards Florida, but something that I would definitely see being worn on the beach. So it's traveled far and wide. Yeah, I mean, we got to bring back the good vibes and the good mojo here this week. I do love these type of events. I love this course. It's definitely a challenge. It's one that we're going to be looking for, a lot of bogey avoidance. Just stay level on a lot of these holes. That's what it seems like to me, and especially in the years past, might be single digits type of winner this week. well, probably will be again, windy conditions. Jack, I know you guys did a full preview on this already. So I won't go too far into details there, but that's just from what I can tell is it's going to be a lot of banking on greens and regulation. You need guys that are going to be able to hit greens in reg, tee to green. Obviously, putting on Bermuda seems like that could be important too here. That's where they will be putting. So I don't know, man. Cutting through the wind, you got guys that can strike the ball. That's really what it seems like this week. But I did factor in that course history and some of those guys that maybe have kind of shown good recent form with course history and bundled that together this week. But we could just see somebody pop off the radar. Like look at Kurt Kitayama last year. So I don't know, man. It's a tough week and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. For those who maybe aren't as in tune with what Bay Hill is going to provide and haven't placed a wager yet, maybe wanting some insight as to what this course is going to be, I'll give you a quick rundown. It's a long track, over 7,400 yards, plays as a par 72. And Joey, you put it pretty perfectly. Making pars is kind of the name of the game, especially on the par threes and the par fours. 3 of the 4 par 4s over 215 yards. 5 of the 10 par 4s are going to be over 450 yards. The rough is also super long. There's dog leg shaped holes. Water comes into play on 9 of the 18. So there's a lot of trouble that you can find from tee to green. So yeah, predominantly, I think it's going to be about good ball strikers, guys who have a lot of power. I think it's honestly going to trump accuracy a little bit this week just because of the conditions of the rough, and also the wind seemingly always plays a factor on this course because it is susceptible to just open gusts, and looks like we could get winds into the 20s throughout the weekend. So yeah, I expect this to be a very difficult challenge, very similar to a US Open. And it's a stacked field on tap, man. And it's tough to kind of parse through all of these guys because look, you mentioned you can go through the course history type of stuff and a lot of guys pop there. And then you try to compare it with recent form and also just the prestige of this event. And you've had a lot of good winners here. So you got to keep that into perspective as well. I was having a tough time clicking on some final bets here today, Joey, and my card still isn't even finished at this point. So I'm excited to talk through everything a little bit more with you and kind of figure out exactly where we're going to be diving this week, my friend.
Well, I love that because I feel like a lot of times too, this does help solidify my mind too. And I didn't quite click the button on all my bets yet either. I know where I'm going for sure with maybe 1 or 2 names, maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if you kind of agree with those names. And then I'm going to be like, yeah, all right, let's do it. But there are some guys there that I know I admittedly have passed over, I think, this week that I might just be missing, and you might need to, guide me back on the right path here, because inevitably there are just so many names here that's like, all right, you got to make decisions at certain price points, and we talk about that every time we get on the show. But there's the price point factors that's like, all right, the big dogs at the top. I mean, I don't know if you want to go ahead and start it off here and talk about these names, but we know it's Rory and Scheffler right at the top, and both of them under 10-1. It's they both feel like guaranteed top 10s. So it's like, do you pull the trigger or not? I think that's your biggest decision right off the bat. It has to be every single week is, do you pull the trigger on one of those guys or not? Jack, I'll ask you that, I guess, before we go with the rest of the names here.
Yeah, it's really interesting off the top. One thing I will say real quick to everyone who's watching this right now, make sure to go and jump into the YouTube feed so you can interact with us as we dive into all of these players. Share your opinion or your leads as to where you're going this week. We always enjoy hearing what other people have to offer, so make sure to go and do that. And also, if you're not already a member at Bet Rivers, go and join right now and use the promo code ONTAP to get up to a $250 match. Quick plug to our good friends over there at Bet Rivers. But yeah, man, right off the top, it feels like you gotta make a decision. And even making this a little bit more challenging is we haven't seen the big dogs come through this year. Like I mentioned earlier, Jake Knapp at 40-1 in Mexico is the shortest winner we've had this season. And
Wild.
it's just kind of hard to trust all of these guys, oddly enough, right now through 4 rounds. Scotty Scheffler, obviously a former champion here. We know what he does tee to green week in and week out. And honestly, Joey, it's laughable that this conversation is still going on, my friend, that the putter continues to absolutely plague him. And I backed a lot of my chips on Scotty Scheffler at Riviera because I thought his tee to green game was just going to have him in the mix. I thought it was a Scotty week. And to be fair, in round 2, he shot 4 under par, and his longest putt that he made that day was 4 feet 10 inches. So that goes to tell you how good the ball striking is. But this guy literally putts like me or you, not even right now, like after 7 or 8 brujas, and we're just going and hitting and giggling out there. He did make a little bit of a change I saw this week. He switched to the spider putter, which has been popular for a couple of guys on tour, tinkered with that a little bit, and he has putted decently well here throughout his career, putted really well in the wind, didn't putt all that well last year, which, funny enough, as it's happened so often this year, ended up costing him the tournament. Look, you kind of know what you're going to get with Scotty at this point. It's going to be elite tee to green play that's going to have him in contention on the weekend, and it comes down to whether or not he can make enough putts. And at plus 650, I just can't get there until I see a little bit more signs of encouragement. I was encouraged before Riv. It really felt like a backstep at the Genesis for him that week. So I can't get to Scotty. Rory is very intriguing, man. Been a beast at this tournament all throughout his career. Won here in 2018. Has gotten off to a little bit of a disappointing, quote-unquote, start here on the PGA Tour this season. He still led the field at the COG last week in strokes gained from tee to green. He also is just going through some putting woes of his own right now, but a guy that's historically played well on this course, his driving distance is immediately going to give him a leg up on this type of track. Rory is the play at the top for me, and I honestly think with the DraftKings plus 300 boost that's out there, getting him at 11.5 to 1, I think is pretty fair value. But ultimately, I just don't think I'm going to get there this week. There's just more guys that are intriguing me a little bit further down. But I am definitely scared of Rory. Curious if you're going to be on either of these two at the top this week, Joey.
You make great points about Scotty. I think the price and the putter combined with the price is enough to push me off with this good of a field, with this much history. And he does have a win here, so it's not like he's fully capable of obviously pulling that off. He's a favorite for a reason, right? It's just you have to play percentages, and the percentages to me don't equal what the price does. Neither does it for Rory, or I don't really like that either. But you do make a good point. If you could find that over 10 to 1 with a little boost or something like DraftKings, I like that. Personally, that's where I'm leaning to between these two. I just look at what the history that, like you said, that he's done here. 7 trips to Bay Hill, and his last 7 trips to Bay Hill, he's only finished outside the top 10 once. So
it's insane. It's terrifying.
And that time that he was outside the top 10 was a T13. So is that bad? He's dialed in at Bay Hill.
Yeah.
So I really do like Rory at the top. I haven't pulled trig, as we like to say, yet, but that's where I would go with the top 2 for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. I just don't think with the guys that I've bet, there's no way I could squeeze Rory in there. But if you're out there thinking about one of these two at the top, for me personally, it's Scotty Scheffler, or it's Rory McIlroy, over Scotty Scheffler.
So you just want to reverse on me right now?
I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I'm a little bit under the weather, so take everything I say today with a grain of salt, my friend.
No, you're good. You're good. We know what you mean. Do you want to look at the rest of the top here, Jack?
Yeah, go through some names. Let's get 5 or 6 in here.
All right, let me pull up my odds board here. Those were the two that I just already knew were at the top from looking at it earlier. But after that, Victor Hovland, 16 to 1, Patrick Cantlay, 18 to 1, Xander X Gon't give it to you, 18 to 1, and then you got Ludwig Aberg, Luddy F Baby, 20 to 1. Jack, those are the names here. After we have Scotty and Rory, what do you think about this range? A lot of great names here.
Yeah, a lot of great names. Victor Hovland, been a weird start for him this year, but showed some improvements for sure at the Genesis when he finished T19. The ball striking numbers came back a little bit, but he's been tinkering and he's been open about that. And he parted ways with his short game coach, who did wonders for him. I don't really know what to make of that. But this has always felt like a really good Victor track, and he probably should have actually won here when Scotty got the job done. He crumbled down the stretch on 17 and 18 to kind of blow that away. But these types of courses are always what I like Victor Hovland on, where his total driving can kind of take over. I do wonder, in just an outright market, I do wonder if he's ready to win right here, right now, in such a good field. I undoubtedly think his talent is always going to have him in contention on tracks like this. I just don't know if I've seen enough so far to get on him at 16-1, and I love Victor. But I would just like to see a little bit more, again, just based on how deep this field is and how many cases you could make for other guys. Patrick Cantlay has been playing some good golf early, in particular in tournaments, has kind of fluttered down the stretch in the last couple, but has been the first round leader, I believe, in 2 of his last 3. Xander had an opportunity to win at Riviera as well in that final pairing with Patrick Cantlay before they kind of just melted down the stretch. But to me, my man, first bet I made, or second bet I made technically, it's Luddy F Baby, bro.
Ooh.
And I boosted him at DraftKings to 23-1. And it's a little bit risky because he's only played on this course once, but it was his 4th PGA Tour start last year, and it was his first top 25. And ever since then, he's just hung in contention, and all of the numbers just stand out. When I ran my model, dude, it was insane how many things Ludwig finished in like the top 10 in. Off the tee, approach, tee to green, hard courses, long courses, his long irons, bogey avoidance, putting on Bermuda. And I get it's a little bit of a small sample size for him because he hasn't been on the tour for so long, but kind of like Rory, I think his driver is just going to give him an advantage right off the bat. And pairing that with good long iron play, he's been good at avoiding bogeys here lately, and his preferred putting surface so far in his young career has been Bermuda. I just don't know how I don't bet on the talent on a course like this. That is Luddy F Baby. There's a lot of intriguing names here at the top, man, but this kid's been on a good run here to start off the year. Kind of was a little bit slow out of the gate, but has 3 top 20s in his last 3 starts. 2 of them were top 10, and one of those was a solo second at Pebble Beach where, I mean, who knows what ends up happening on that Sunday if he goes head-to-head with Wyndham Clark. So I've seen him contend on courses that he's never played on before that are also difficult, like Riviera and like Torrey Pines. I've seen enough to feel confident in Ludwig Oberg this week. So he was the click I made at the top of the leaderboard, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, he's good at anywhere. Like, that's how it feels to me. He has that natural talent and ability where he can go in, and you don't have to worry about him playing somewhere where he comes in. And I mean, it's only a matter of time before he wins one of these big ones too. We're just everyone's.
I feel like it.
Yeah, he's going to take one of these down, I think, rather soon. I don't know if it's this week. Like, admittedly, I think I'm going to stay away from him this week, just because I have seen so many other guys come in here and do really well. Maybe that's wrong of me. I just feel like there's a couple other guys that are down the board that, in small samples, have shown really well, and it's a guy that. There's one guy way far down the board that you've talked about on the show that I think is not getting as much respect, and he's in a small sample done really well, which probably should be closer in the same price as Aberg, honestly. So I'm going to stay off of this range, actually. Like, I think, yeah, Xander and Victor both make a ton of sense. Cantlay, I just can't do it right now. Maybe it's just it's kind of a bias thing right now.
It's Cantlay. People are really down on old Patrick Cantlay right now.
Yeah, he's just annoying me. So
not the only one. You're not the only one.
No, I wouldn't feel good about getting the outright with Cantlay at this point. But money's money, man. Like he does make he's an interesting cat. Definitely could see the 18-1 number coming through for somebody. But yeah, man, I'm avoiding this range. I don't know.
Gotta make battles for certain guys, and shit, we haven't seen anyone under 20-1 win so far this year. So,
yeah, especially if I am on Rory too, I just do not want to be on both sections.
Yeah, totally feel you.
So had to kind of pick and choose there. Still considering that. Morikawa 25-1, Jordan Spieth 25, and Tommy Fleetwood 25-1. You got Cam Young 28, JT Justin Thomas 28-1. Sam Burns 28-1. These numbers are fluctuating. Obviously, you got better numbers out there on certain guys, certain books. I am just looking at Odds Checker at the moment. as we like to do. So, Jack, gets a little intriguing here. I do have someone in this range. Talk to me a little bit. You got anything here?
Yeah, you can make cases for basically all of these guys. The ones that stood out to me immediately, I don't have any clicks in this range, and this is part of the last kind of discussion that I have to do to finalize my bet card this week, Joey. I'm either going to go with one more guy in this range or two guys a little bit further down the board. That's what I have room left. The two that are intriguing me the most, Jordan Spieth, who has two four-place finishes here each of the last 2 years. His driver has been really good this year, which is really impressive considering that's kind of been a weak spot for him. He's driving it long and accurate right now, and the short game has just been immaculate. The around the green play has been so good, and 6 of his last 8 rounds here at Bay Hill have been under par. So even when maybe the approach play isn't up to standard for a certain day, he has that type of short game where he could still record a -2, -3 round, -1 even on a track like this to kind of salvage things and keep himself in contention as we're looking towards a pretty low scoring winner this week. So Spieth is a little bit interesting to me. The other one was Sam Burns, who also has been hitting his driver a lot better here recently. He's popped up at the top of the leaderboards a couple of times already and had some close calls. Hasn't really been all that great on this course. He actually lost, I think, 9 strokes on approach last year here en route to a miscut, but is someone who has generally played well in the state of Florida. He's got 2 wins at the Valspar. Yeah, it's a different tournament, but all these Florida tracks tend to kind of set up somewhat similarly. So Jordan Spieth and Sam Burns were the two that kind of intrigued me the most, but I've seen a lot of love for this range. Tommy Fleetwood has a great Florida track, but I kind of promised myself I'm going to be okay if I'm late on the Tommy train, man. I did it
Never
enough last
again.
year. I did it enough last year. I can't bet Tommy at 25-1, my guy. I just can't do it. And I feel the same about Cam Young. He actually opened at 45-1, and that number would have been a lot more intriguing. He's been bet down a ton this week, which I get because like Rory, like Ludwig, he has that driver that he can just weaponize and will really give him a leg up on this type of course. I'm just okay with being late on Cam Young, and 28-1 to me, it's too low of a number for me to jump in now. I wasn't on it right at the get-go. I'm not going to get on it at 28-1. Him and Tommy are kind of in that same conversation that, like, I'm just going to be okay with missing out on those wins. I'll probably be upset when it actually happens and be like, why the fuck didn't I bet them? But like
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
now, I'm okay with kind of staying away from those numbers. So they're fades to me this week in the outright market. Justin Thomas, I think is interesting. I would have liked to see him at like 35 or 40. And I know that's a number some people out there got. But besides a disaster at Riv, which, I mean, he was playing with Tiger. He had it going bad. Those blow-ups, they just happen from time to time. But other than that, he's really been stellar since his kind of comeback trail at the Fortinet in the fall. So I think Spieth, Sam Burns, and JT are the 3 kind of looks for me in this range, but I'm leaning Spieth and Burns over JT personally. What do you got? What was your click in this range?
The one click I have, which I mean, I am interested in Justin Thomas this week for sure. That's one that I was looking at, and obviously Spieth is a good option here too. Sam Burns, that was the one that I did click on. 22-1. What did you end up grabbing him at so far?
Sam?
Yeah,
I haven't. These are the last questions that I got to make. So
gotcha.
I haven't bet anyone in this range, but I think honestly, I don't know if there's that much love for Burns. So I think he could fall to 30-1, and if he does end up falling to 30-1, I'd probably take that over Spieth at 25.
Dude, if he's 30-1 for sure. I mean, I'm considering doing it at 20, 22 or 28. Let me see what I see him at right now. Yeah, I see him at 28. So take him at 28 for sure. I mean, the 4 straight top 10s, he's on fire right now. Like, yeah, you mentioned maybe not being the greatest here, but I don't know, man. I think he can putt too here. So finished last season 8th in strokes gained putting.
Good Bermuda putter too. Good Bermuda putter.
Yeah, so I think he can really get it done here. So Burns is one of those guys where I could see being a problem. And I'm going to ride the hot hand. Like, if you're on fire coming into this event, yeah, it's a matter of time, I think, for Burns. I do think Fleetwood is just a never click for me ever again.
Some people should probably take that advice out there because Tommy Fleetwood has won $0 in the United States of America in the outright market. So
he does make a lot of sense in Florida. I will say that in
he does
Florida,
for sure.
He makes a ton of sense. But the problem is we've fallen for this a million times, Jack.
Bet him top 10. Bet him top 10. That's the Tommy Fleetwood market. Just bet him top 10. You'll be happy.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the Tommy Fleetwood strategy this week. And you can also take him in some head-to-head markets, possibly.
Yeah, you could, depending on who he's up there with. There's other ways to get on these guys, and that's one thing I do like to emphasize on the show. We're talking outrights here, and it's a pretty volatile market, but it pays the big dough, and that's what we like to do here on the show. We like to win the big dough, but you don't have to always play all of these guys that we mentioned in the outright fashion, and obviously we can't fit all of these guys that we like on our card at the same time, so yeah, find other ways to play these guys. Top 20, top 40, DFS, head-to-heads, lots of other ways to make money. This just happens to be a show about outrights because, like I said, we like those big tickets, baby. That's what we do around here.
Big time, big time. But you know what? You make a good point too. Just the process of elimination now, as you were talking, like how we go through the tiers, right? And we start talking about different ways to bet these guys and maybe even head-to-head market or DFS market. Depends on salary cost and all that for DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever you're using. But when we go through these tiers and we start plucking at, okay, I like Rory over Scheffler because of this or this because of that. You can take that as a strategy for head-to-head too. It might not quite be the exact same. Like you want to look at who has a higher floor, who has the more of a ceiling for taking like outright markets. But there's a reason why we are looking at these guys in certain tiers and kind of doing the process of elimination for specific tournaments most of the time.
There you go. Well said.
So
well said.
I do really like that as a strategy. But Jack, moving on here, we have Sam Burns is the name I really like there. Max Homa, super interesting here too, 30-1. Fitzpatrick, seeing a lot of love for him this week too, and I have some interest, 33-1. Jason Day, 35-1. Willie Z, I'm not saying it yet. I'm not saying anything. You don't know where I'm going.
It'll make me laugh forever.
Will Zalatoris, 35-1, and then that is the range before we get to the 45 and up. So Jack. It was, what was it? Almost 60 degrees outside today.
I don't know. I didn't step foot outside. I'm sick.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't know how beautiful of a day it was.
It's a beautiful day. Hey, this is a good day course back in his day, his heyday, if you will. He was 10 year last year, I want to say.
He did pretty decent, right? Last year, I'm going to look at his.
Yeah, let me pull up the old Jason Day here on Rick Run Good, but I'll get into some of these other guys in this
T10 last year.
Yeah, T10 last year. He played really well at Riv once again. Always seemingly plays well there. Had a good finish at Pebble. Yeah, no, I understand the Jason Day love. There are select places where I understand the Jason Day love, and I thought about him this week as well. I just don't know.
He's in good form too.
I just don't know if I could back him in that awful attire that he's wearing. I don't know if you've been seeing what he's been caught in.
I didn't see the last couple weeks.
And I'm a Malbon fan. I like a lot of their stuff, and a good college buddy of mine was on the Malbon golf gear like 5-6 years ago before they became a Jason Day sponsor. Oh, this is always good. This is always good stuff. I'm a caddy at Bay Hill, guys. Raul, I hope you're not bamboozling us here. You better actually be a caddy. I'll tell you guys. Just messing with you, Raul. The grass is U.S. Open grass. Just hit a P wedge and lay up. Greens are a 14 rating. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this. The greens here at Bay Hill, they run real quick, usually around a 12. I want to say if they're at a 14, it is going to be tough, especially if the wind is getting in on the weekend. I honestly don't know if they could play them that fast just because the balls might be oscillating out there. But Raul, that's great news because we like these tough type of tests. We like U.S. Open rough. We like fast greens. So that's music to my ears, brother.
Dude, we have a caddy in the comments. That's freaking awesome.
What? I love that. Raul,
inside information right here.
Thank you for the support, my man. But this 30 to 40 range is rather interesting as well. Matthew Fitzpatrick, you mentioned a guy who's getting some love this week because he does have a good career track record at Bay Hill. Also, just these types of setups always seem like Matthew Fitzpatrick's jam. And yeah, just had a lot of high-end finishes here and flashed some life for the first time really in 2024 at the COG last week. So I understand the love. I think I'd personally like to see a little bit more out of Matthew Fitzpatrick. But the guy I bet in this range, baby, It's my guy. It is Willie Z. I had to do it.
Oh,
I had
man.
to do it. And I think 35-1 is a pretty fair number. 40, I would have liked more, but we're nitpicking a little bit here. But I do genuinely, and I thought this before the Genesis, I thought it was a little bit early for Willie Z to go out there and win. I mean, just his 5th start back from injury. But on these types of golf courses,
He loves the hard courses.
oh, baby, that's what he lives for. And the parts of his game that had him in contention at seemingly every major championship in 2022, those parts are coming back here again with what he's doing in the ball striking. And what's been even more impressive to me, Joey, is what he's done with the putter here these last 3 weeks. Not only has he gained strokes with the flat stick in each of his last 3 events, but you can see the incremental gains week by week. I want to say 3 weeks ago, it was 0.8 strokes gained. 2 weeks ago, it was 1.9. Last time out when he nearly won at Riviera, it was like 2.8. And he's actually gained in all 4 categories in each of his last 2 starts. When I ran my model, he was a little bit further down, but that's because the long-term numbers on Willie Z are still a little bit wonky from his tune-up starts when he was absolutely awful at the Hero World Challenge and didn't look all that good at the Sony Open either. But if you run the short-term numbers, really, really sharp. He's 3rd in strokes gained approach over the last 12 rounds, still hitting his long irons really well. And we know these long and harder types of golf courses are genuinely what he prefers. And just seeing the strides that he's made with this broomstick putter has me encouraged for his chances this week. That's really been the one part of his game that's plagued him at Bay Hill, Joey. He's lost at least a stroke on these greens in each of the 3 tournaments, but he hasn't tackled it with the broomstick yet. And I do think it's going to be a lofty challenge, but his ball striking is just so damn good. He's got the club head speed to get out of the rough, hits his long irons really well. The short game has been good. I had to pull trigger on Willie Z at 35-1, but I will say Jason Day was someone who I looked at pretty good at this range. Matthew Fitzpatrick was also a consideration for me.
That's great digging on your part, looking at the putter and comparing it to last year and what's plagued him. That's great digging on your part. Dude, Willie Z is just one of those guys too. Just makes total sense on the
dog.
tough. Yeah.
Just a dog. DAWG. Dog.
There's no reason why he should actually be, if he's playing well and looks healthy, there's no reason why anything above 30-1 like it is even an option. Like if you look at,
sorry to interrupt. I want to say he's 28-1 or 25-1 at the Masters right now. It's basically the same field plus a couple live guys. I'm getting him at 35. I think that's pretty good value.
Yeah, I think that's great value. I was trying to do a little quick digging too to see some of the projections that I had up here, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to pull that up just right now. So when we move on here, maybe I'll be able to get that up there. But I really do like Jason Day here for many reasons, not just because I'm a Jason Day guy, and I understand the attire and I understand all that. But this is definitely a place where, like, he makes sense. With the recent form combined, this is an unbiased opinion here, Jack.
He's playing good golf. He's playing good
golf. He has to be in good form, though. He was T10 last year. We were just looking back at that, but he has the victory in 2016. We've seen him. We haven't seen him since the Genesis Invitational, at least on tour. So it's been a minute, but I mean, just like a lot of these guys, they wait for the signature event. So I don't think it's like the form hasn't been that long ago that we've seen it. So yeah, I do really like Day here. Max Homa, that's the other guy right in this range that I'm thinking about. But as we move on here, that 45 number looks like Minwoo Lee, 45-1. We have Benny Anna, 45-1.
Benny fucking Anna. It's cost me a lot of money Anna this year.
Yeah, no shit. Adam Scott, 55-1. Just they're jumping. It goes 35, 45, 55. There's no of those in between pockets as we hit this mid tier. Kind of nice, actually. I like that it's jumping up pretty quickly. Adam Scott, 55-1. Hideki Matsuyama is 55-1. Chris Kirk, 60-1. Corey Connors, 60-1. English, 60-1. Jake Knapp, 60-1. A lot of 60s, actually, here. Keegan Bradley, Wyndham Clark, also 60-1. So big clump of names. Once we hit 45 to 60 range, I guess I'll start it up. I like Minwoo Lee this week. Missed the cut twice here. So the recent history just doesn't really back up like what I was saying at the beginning of like looking at recent history and recent form. But like recent form, really good. T2 last week. The driving, I think he can cut it through the wind, especially with the windier conditions that it sounds like we might see here. Yeah, I think Minwoo Lee can definitely compete. I think 45 is a really strong number. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, coming off a good week, Minwoo. I think he had his best career strokes gained approach week on the PGA Tour, which is always encouraging, and really had a chance to at least throw his hat into the bucket a little bit more down the stretch if his putter didn't kind of betray him there a little bit. But these types of setups, it's a U.S. Open style venue. Minwoo Lee, those always figure to kind of be his jam because of how far he can hit the ball. The long irons are usually what he does pretty well. The putter, the short game, he's got that upside there well in that type of class of player. I do worry a little bit about Minwoo's volatility in terms of how many bogeys he makes. And I had this conversation with Ross on Monday as well. Minwoo Lee is the type of guy that he kind of reminds me, not in like how they play, but a little bit in their style and what they need to work on before becoming prominent. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Victor Hovland. Like, I think he needs to just steady the ship a little bit more. And Victor is the type of guy that he can make birdies on the most difficult holes out there. Minwoo Lee has that same exact skill set. The problem with him is just how many bogeys he makes. And I do have a little bit of concerns about him making a lot of bogeys here this week and whether or not he can keep the irons up. That's kind of been hit or miss so far for him this season. But I think 45-1 is a good, fair number on Minwoo. And like I said, these sorts of setups are what should favor him. So I think 45-1 is a good enough number if you feel strongly about it to go and back that. Minwoo, I would say he's not one of my favorite plays, but I don't hate him whatsoever. There's just some other guys that I'm thinking about in this range, whether right or wrong. There's just a lot of attraction here. And like I said earlier with Jordan Spieth and Sam Burns in the 20s, I can either go one more of these guys or maybe one guy from here and one guy a little bit further down. So these are the last kind of discussions that I'm having with myself right now, Joey. The guys that stood out to me from this range, Adam Scott, just been popping with his approach and off the tee here as of late. Another guy.
You love some Adam Scott too. You do.
I kind of sort of love Adam Scott. I think I've only bet him once so far this year, but someone I've been on, I guess, a fair amount since we've been doing the show, probably because his approach numbers just always jump off the charts. And then he ends up missing like 3-foot putts. But he's been playing really solid golf here as of late. Maybe not the high-end finishes and good stuff from the weekend that some people had hoped for, but this is a setup that should work well with his tee to green game, so I thought he was a little intriguing. Corey Connors, I actually bet, my boy. It's officially Corey Connors season, Joey. We're back in Corey Connors season. Has a pretty good track record at Bay Hill and just in Florida in general, and his 2 wins on the PGA Tour, both have come at Valero, both kind of this time of year. And I feel like this is usually when I always get on my boy Corey Connors, so it's not stopping now. He doesn't have a top 20 finish this year, Joey, but his ball striking has actually been incredible. Over the last 24 rounds, he's 6th in strokes gained tee to green and 6th in strokes gained approach, 9th in strokes gained off the tee. Like, he's been really solid and a guy who has contended not only here, but we saw him in the mix at the PGA Championship last year that Brooks won, a hard, demanding golf course from tee to green. Yeah, I have concerns about Corey Connors' putter. It happens literally each and every week, but he has had a little bit better results historically at Florida. And when he had a 3rd-place finish here back in 2021, he gained over 3 strokes putting. So it's been a bad go for him on the green so far in 2024, but that's kind of just the name of the game with Corey Connors. But I'm just attacking ball strikers this week, and if it plays difficult and if it even plays more difficult than we think, Corey Connors is a type of guy who hits just a ton of greens in regulation, makes a lot of pars, and I think that makes a lot of sense for this week. So Corey Connors is the official bet that I have from this range, but Adam Scott was someone who intrigued me as well. And then Keegan Bradley. I'm also a little bit of a sucker for Keegan, and he's got a decent.
Oh, it's a your boys week for sure.
It's kind of my boys week. I haven't pulled trigger on Keegan. I do like Adam Scott a little bit more than him. But yeah,
I like Keegan more than him if it's worth anything.
Interesting.
Week. Yeah.
What's the reasoning for that? Or you just got a gut feel on my boy?
I mostly gut feel, but he does align well as like a course fit guy. But I feel like if you like strikers of the ball too, you're gonna love Corey Connors this week. Like Corey Connors is, I'm kind of tossed in between there between Keegan and Corey Connors. I think I'm going to tail you on Corey Connors because it sounded like you had a little bit more conviction about Corey Connors this week. And I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong though on that, because but you a lot of times are on Keegan Bradley too, like if it makes sense. So you kind of talked me into Corey Connors because that's where I was leaning before we popped on this show. And I just think it is the ball striking that makes a ton of sense. And here at this track with the conditions, why not at that number?
Just hope he doesn't putt his way out of it. That's literally it.
Well, Sunday especially, he's probably going to. I
mean, it's Corey Connors. He does that. But in the odd chance he doesn't, we know what his tee to green does. 60 to 1 is big enough for me to bite. I'm a sucker for Corey Connors.
It's big enough. I agree. I think it's a good number. Keegan, he hasn't missed a cut here, right? So 11 starts.
Let me pull up old Keegs here in the old
finished T11 or better each of the last 3 years. So he's got the good course history that I really like here. I think he actually does make a ton of sense too at his number.
Don't got to do a lot to talk me into Keegan. Let me pull up this.
And Adam Scott, I'm just not usually on, so that's why I say I'm more interested in him than I am, or Keegan than I am Adam Scott.
Yeah, Keegan has been great here in his career.
Yeah,
great here. He missed the cut in his first start here in 2011. Since then, T3, solo second, T49, T36, T34, T26, T46, T42, T10, T11, T10. Ball striking's good. Ball striking's good every year. And gain strokes on the greens each of the last 3 years. It's kind of only been a good putter like for the last year and a half. So I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's your boys' week. And my boys' week.
It could be.
I'm gonna give you another name that's right in this range too that you might like.
Who you got for me?
Chris Kirk, baby.
Oh, fuck you. Why'd you have to say that? I did like Chris Kirk this week.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool. We're just on the same wavelength right now.
I liked Chris Kirk this week, but like we have to do with a lot of these guys, man, you just got to talk yourself out of some people. Chris Kirk makes a lot of sense. Has good results here in the past. Has been playing well generally so far this season. The reason I turned myself off of it is the putter has kind of been bad for him recently. And I also don't know if he just genuinely has the distance to really hang. He hits a ton of fairways. His ball striking's good. He's lost strokes with the putter in 4 of his last 5 since he won. That's my concern. But the ball striking's good. Course history's good. That was my only concern on Chris Kirk.
The putter really does scare me. We'll say this though: last 10 starts at Bay Hill, and you said the course history. He has finished T16 or better 6 times.
Yeah, I know.
So the length. I mean,
gain strokes with the putter here a lot. He gains strokes with the putter here a lot. Each of the last 5 years, 4 of them.
Talk yourself into it.
4 of them have been gains of over 1.5 strokes.
You're gonna talk yourself into it.
I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know if I could take Kirk. I don't know if I could take Kirk over Keegs.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would probably take him over Keegs actually, because he's 60 to 1 and Keegan's 55, right? Or what's the?
You're really splitting hairs over there.
I know, for no reason.
Plus 500 better odds, baby.
Actually, they're both 60 to 1. You can find both of them at 60 to 1. So I mean, yeah, it's really just a toss up. Go with your preference. Go with your gut. I think if you're in that decision.
Before we move on, what do you think about your boy Wyndham Clark getting a 60 to 1 number here?
That's a huge number for a guy that's been on fire, dude.
Huge number. Let me get into the Wyndham Clark stat profile here.
Windy City Flyer is disrespected right now. This is disrespectful mispricing right now.
My model hated him. So he was actually.
I don't really get it though. Like I get the model not liking him, but I don't get the price still.
So I don't get the price. The outright market, that's good value on Wyndham Clark. Even if he's playing bad, it's 60 to 1 for a guy who's won a major and 2 signature events. We're at a signature event where the driver is predominant. Like I don't want to overlook Wyndham Clark Because obviously you won the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. That's your outright this season. And even at Waste Management, if you go and look at where he finished, it was a T41. It was good. He was kind of there until the last rounds. He lost 6 strokes total in the final round en route to a T41. And then I think I was on him at the Genesis, and he missed the cut there. Couldn't putt to save his life, and actually hasn't putted well at all this year. The only time he putt well was at Pebble Beach, and he gained almost 7 strokes putting. So it's a grab bag for Wyndham Clark. You don't know what you're going to get. He could come dead last, but he does have winning equity for sure.
Oh, big time.
I mean, you put him up, like just putting him next to the guys in this range: Keegan Bradley, Jake Knapp, Harris English, Corey Connors, Chris Kirk, all 60-1 with Wyndham Clark. We know who the best player. We know who the best player in that group is.
We know who the guy who's been consistently showing it anyways.
I know. I don't think I'm going to do it, but it's a valid point.
Yeah, the guy that's consistently showing you that he's like on his game and can win majors now, like it's Wyndham Clark. And there's another guy down here too that people can just say, well, he's a little weasel. He could also win. Down. Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. Plus, he doesn't have the length for me for a course like this. I just cannot do that. But no, Wyndham Clark, man. If he was 80-1 or 90-1, I forget the price I usually get him at where he wins.
I think it was 80.
Was it 80?
I think your lucky number is 80.
Both times were 80.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. So he's not quite there, but I don't know if we'll ever see an 80-1 again.
I didn't want to forget about Raul here. He said, believe me or not, Raul, I'm not dissing. I'm just having a good time here, my friend. I was with Fitzpatrick this morning in the Pro-Am. We were a 710 tee. He did correct it and did not call Matthew Fitzpatrick a woman. He struggled out of the grass, so one thing to consider with old Matty Fitz this week. Good guy, though. Good guy, though. Good vibes. Always love you.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. We need all the info we can get because I've been ice cold. So I appreciate your insight, Raul.
Mm-hmm. By the way, 108 people watching right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join us in the comments like Raul. Like whatever you think about this tournament, whatever you're looking forward to or not looking forward to, or a certain bet like we were talking about earlier, throw it out there. Who's your outright? Like you got one guy that you really like more than the others. Who is it? Tell us why we need to bet him because you might talk us into it. I mean, there's certain things that we can go around and round for days about looking at models and looking at key stats for the course. Like maybe there's something we're missing. Like, Matthew Fitzpatrick, maybe something we were missing. Talk to us, man. Get in there.
Exactly. Absolutely. We appreciate all the support. But yeah, what else you got? What else you got from down here? We're kind of in that range now where we're getting to that. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but we're getting to that second tier of player, if you will, kind of, sort of. And I think it's kind of to the point where we can just shout out names that we like, or if there's certain guys that we have bet so far past the 70-1 range. Let's go 70 to 100. I'll ask you off the top. Is there any names from 70 to 100 that you've either clicked on yet or are considering betting?
You know who we've been on for a while.
Is it the Grill?
Oh shit! Forgot about him.
I can't stop betting the Grill, and I'm scared. I'm gonna have FOMO. I'm so scared.
Water.
I know. I'm scared, dude. I can't stop betting Grill. It's an actual problem because the
Bobby's
TV numbers
on the
are
Grill.
good. He's putting, and he putts here. He's 100-1. I can't stop.
Oh, that's a great number too.
I'm fucked up on Emiliano Grillo, dude. It's gotten
really
bad. But I don't know. But who you got? Get to that first.
Yeah, Eric Cole obviously didn't have a great week last week. Willing to forget. I am willing to forget.
He torched me last week.
And I understand it. I mean, it's a rough one when you go out like that. I think this is a ludicrous number to kind of put on someone. 90-1. His irons have been great for a while now. Like really, he's really had some good irons lately, except for last week. Did not have a good week. So 90-1, man. I think he could pop up. I don't know if he's gonna win. I'm just taking a stab here. I like it.
No, I think it is a good number as someone who has backed Eric Cole a decent amount of times since he's kind of become a known name on the PGA Tour. I like his irons. I like the putting upside. I like the Florida upside, just being a Florida guy. I do worry about the driver. He's not very long and he's not very accurate.
That's true.
Usually.
He's not long.
I do worry about his driver on a course like this. I think he can scramble enough to hang in, I just don't know if this is the one that he's going to win. That's just me personally, but I do think it is a good number. And if he wins this week, I will be rather upset. Like, this is one of those that I will be pissed if I miss out on the first one. It would be like missing out on Willie Z, dude. Like, it would have been bad news bears. So
Well,
yeah,
it has to be even worse if your co-host is on it and you're not on it. Like,
yeah,
that's
probably. So
I won't celebrate next week, but we can celebrate as a show, I guess.
I get it. I would just rather bet Nikolai Højgaard at the same number. A guy who hits the ball a fucking mile, good long irons, has been good here at the top of the year. I think he's interesting. I'd even rather bet Mathieu Pavon, who's just been playing
I
well.
like him too this week a lot.
Mathieu Pavon, look, we can talk about it being a gimmick. He's still first in the FedEx Cup standings at this point in time because he's been playing so consistently this year. Yeah, the win obviously helps, but we've had 8 winners now this year. Mathieu Pavon is still the guy in number 1 because he's been racking up high-end finishes behind it. I do have concerns about him on this setup in particular. I wouldn't be shocked if he hung in there again, and I think 90-1 is a more than fair number. So I have had some intrigue with Pavon, and again, these are the last final decisions I got to decide upon. But the last official click that I have made, and it was the first bet that I made on Monday morning because I just thought the number was too big, and he honestly didn't model all that great for me in terms of what I was going after this week. I just thought the number was too big for the talent. It was Sahith at 70-1. Ooh. I saw him open at 70-1, finished T14 here last year. He's got 2 top 5 finishes and 6 starts so far this season. Yeah, he had a little bit of an underwhelming Genesis Invitational, but until that final round at the Waste Management, he was excellent and was really good at the Century to kick off the season. And he's just putting himself in those opportunities. And just a lot of people, including myself, have been waiting for that big one to come for Sahith Theegala. And I think all those battle scars that he's had on the bad Sundays at Phoenix, at the Travelers, at Century when he just came so close, finishing behind Chris Kirk, I just think those are all going to help him eventually win one of these big boys. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but I just think for the skills that he has, the driver's been much improved over the last 7 months. The ball striking can be hit or miss, but when it's on, it's good. And his short game is rather exquisite as well. So I just thought 70-1 was too big on Sahith. So I bet that early Monday morning. But yeah, like I said, I'm also looking at Mathieu Pavon a little bit in this range. And then I kind of spoiled the Grill Master at 100-1 is just someone I can't seem to stop burning money on. And I'm terrified. I'm terrified his tee to green game is just going to pop one week and he's going to win. I'm really scared.
He's going to, dude. Like, there's no question in my mind that he's going to. Yeah, no, I love the Grill Master there. It's Pavon, man. I think that's a great look.
Yeah.
I really do think it is. You know who I'm thinking too now that I'm looking at this? Luke List is kind of interesting.
Yep.
He had the T2 at the Genesis. He's a guy that's been golfing a little bit better. I think he can get the distance down here. I don't know about his putter. No one knows about his putter, but I do think that that's something that might be improving just a little bit enough. I mean, he missed the cut last week, right? Or missed his last cut.
Yeah, he missed the cut last week and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. So, but I mean, he's that boomer bust dude, man. He can miss a cut and come back with a T2 or a top 5. Pavon, though, dude, I just want to look at him real quick, too, like you were talking about. 5 of 5 in cuts made. I know it's a small sample. Like, all this is a super small sample. All inside the top 40. The win, a 3rd place under his belt, 13th in bogey avoidance, 2nd in proximity. The kid can play, man.
Yeah, big time.
5th in tee to green, 2nd in approach, 2nd in strokes game putting. Again, small sample, but this kid can play. So I think 90-1, anything 100-1, like that's too big of a number for a guy that's proven that to this point.
And if you even go back further to before he was on the PGA Tour this season, what he was doing at the end of last season on the DP World Tour, just racking up high-end finish after high-end finish. So, yeah, I think that's a really big number on Mathieu Pavon. It's funny you bring up Luke List, though. I don't know if it's actually going to become a debate for me here, but in my mind, a couple hours ago, it was like, you either got to bet one of Emiliano Grillo or Luke List. Luke List, dude, he's literally in the exact same situation, damn near, that he was at going into Riviera when people were terrified because he lost. I gotta actually just pull up the fucking numbers, because it was so hilarious how many strokes he lost 2 years ago at the Genesis Invitational. He lost 9.42 strokes in the short game at Riviera in 2023. Gains 4 in the short game category en route to his T2 finish a couple of weeks ago.
Makes no sense.
Dude, listen to how similar this is at the API, though. It's literally the same fucking thing. It's horrible. Last year, he lost 9.5 strokes in the short game. Year before that, he lost 7.1. And what is interesting about Luke List, too, is from 2017 to 2019, he had 3 top 17 finishes here, and in 2 of them, he gained strokes putting. He's like Corey Connors times 8. You just don't know what you're going to get out of this guy on the greens.
I'm not going to say he would be in Scheffler's range. He would never be in Scheffler's range of all around like tee to green or anything like that. But like, dude, the putter just consistently will. If he's bad, he's completely bad. He's missing the cut. Awful. If he's on, he's top 5.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
But
do you gamble on it?
If I bet him and don't bet Grillo, I might jump off a bridge if Grillo wins.
Yeah, I know. No, you stick with Grillo. I'll look at List this week, I think.
Fuck. Decisions, man. I hate this game.
Take it. No. You got to look at what's in here. Who do you want to win? You want Grillo to win.
I want Grillo to win so bad, but he's just
List has some wins under his belt lately. Like, come on. Go with Grillo.
It's going to be a tough decision that I'm going to make, laying in my bed at like 12:30, being like, all right, Jack.
And I love the Grill Master too, so it's not like I don't want him to win. I go like this, like, I
love him. I don't know why. I love Emiliano Grillo for some reason, man. He's just become a staple of the show from the beginning. Ever since he had that miracle fall swing that we won no money on him on, and then he ended up winning at the Chuck Schwab, and we had no money on him.
Why did we fall in love with that? I don't understand. He did not make us any money ever. And for some reason, godforsaken reason, we were betting him every single week.
Dude, he fucked me in Mexico too. Absolutely gave me the old spanky in Mexico. I want to say 2 strokes off of the lead he was going to his last hole on Friday, was going to be 2 or 3 strokes back going into the weekend, makes a fucking double bogey, hits it into the drink on his last hole on Saturday, falls back a couple of strokes. Same old story with Grillo, man. Should have been there with Jake Knapp. Wasn't there with Jake Knapp.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. That's what led to this cowboy hat today.
Exactly. And I probably will still be the same idiot and bet Emiliano Grillo.
Yeah, you know what? Me too. I don't know if it's this week, but I will. Yeah, man. So with that said, though, we got any other long shots here? Or what are we doing with the rest of this? We doing one and done, props? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so Grillo and List are really the last kind of serious looks I gave to. I will say the Weasel 200 to 1's like a good number. I just have no faith in the Weasel right now with how he's been playing, and the putter, which is like his bread and butter, has been broken for him, so that's not good. Mm-hmm. I've seen some people on Taylor Moore at 200 to 1, a guy who's won at the Valspar. Good Florida player, has some good power and good speed that could help him on a setup like this.
Did he switch caddies too? I heard something about. Did he switch to Bo Hosser's caddy? Was that Moore?
I honestly have no idea, to be honest.
Taylor Moore that did.
Give it a Google. Give it a Google real quick.
But check that out.
Other than that, Lucas Glover 120 to 1. I'm not gonna bet it, but I will say. So I don't know if my buddy Stevie's in here watching this right now. If so, shout out to you, Stiff. But he's a Lucas Glover truther and was on both of Glover's back-to-back wins this past summer. So he's forever indebted to Lucas Glover and has to throw $5 on him every week. We have this group chat where I'm like, all right, who are you guys thinking this week? Just because I like to know who they're feeling or whatnot, their thoughts on certain stuff. And he throws Glover in there every week. And I have to explain, I got to see Lucas Glover start putting again until I actually get on him. He actually had a better putting week last week, but the driving unfortunately let him down. Let me pull up the old glove stat profile here, but I don't think he's terribly far removed, but I don't know if he's ever going to get back to the summer of glove level once again. So yeah, he only lost.
What an incredible run, though.
Oh my God, it was one of my favorite times betting on the PGA Tour. Watching Glove and that swamp ass going to get the job done at the St. Jude, baby. It was marvelous. And to beat Patrick Cantlay in a playoff was just the cherry on top of that.
But prick.
Glover actually gained strokes with the putter in 2 of 4 rounds at the COG. The ball striking has been genuinely good. Off the tee has been a little bit shaky. I have my eye on Lucas Glover. I will say that. I'm not ready to pull trig yet, but I have my eye on Lucas Glover. But yeah, I don't really got any other names down here, man. Luke List and Emiliano Grillo are really the last interest to me. You got any other thoughts on any of these guys or any props or anything before we get into one and done?
Yeah, that's a good question because they will have some props here in a minute. I just have to do a little bit more research before I can pull it in between top 40, between top 20 markets this week. I think I'm more so looking that direction, maybe top 20s.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't really like anything outside of that. Like Eckroat, after just coming off the win, being 120-1, it's kind of interesting, but I don't really think this is a place for him at the same time. So, I mean, it could be. What do I know? But I feel like you're coming off that. That's a big momentum swing to come back right now at this big of an event. This many dudes in the field. I don't see it happening. He's not one of those guys yet.
I could see him hanging. I think winning's a big ask in this type of field. He's a good ball striker, man. But he really had to pair it up with. It might have been his best putting week of his career or one of the best putting weeks of his career on the PGA Tour as well. And that was still to beat that field last week. I just think it's a big ask for him to top the field this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he played well, though. I actually think that win will give him a little bit of confidence going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Dunlap, what do you I mean?
They got the poor guy. I don't know if you saw that. They got the poor guy playing by himself on Thursday.
What? He's not teamed up with anyone?
It's also a fucking crime that the PGA Tour doesn't have Andrew Novak here, who's finished inside the top 10 in each of the last 3 events. And I know I'm probably going on a tangent here and no one probably gives a shit about Andrew Novak, but the fact that they continuously give, and Adam Scott does deserve it, but they're giving him sponsors exemptions. They've been giving it to Peter Malnati these last couple of weeks. And then we go and see the tee times for this week, and old Nick Dunlap's playing by himself on Thursday. It's like, dude, just invite one more person here. Get Andrew Novak in the field. Why do you gotta have Nick Dunlap playing by himself for the first round?
I don't think anybody should be playing by themselves. That's bullshit, especially as young as he is. And come on. Give him somebody. Dude, it's such a good experience for him to go literally golf with anyone. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No,
other than that, man, yeah, it sucks. I think one and done is a good place to round this up, though. What do you it's on you always because you keep fucking I didn't pass you. I did?
Listen to this. I got a breaking news here on the Golf. So my dumbass took Eric Cole last week. He missed the cut. The real reason, though, that you're up and your one and done has been excellent the last 4 weeks. So we didn't have anything in Mexico. That was an off week for us, but it's the only week we've missed so far this year, including the fall. I don't think we're going to miss another one the rest of the way. Mexico's just, it is that one. Mm-hmm. But you had Bo Hostler at Pebble Beach. You've been getting incrementally better too. So you might be creeping into something good here. You had Bo Hostler 14th at Pebble Beach, JT 12th at Phoenix, Sam Burns 10th at Genesis, and Alex Noren 9th last week at the COG. And I just tallied up the points before recording this. You literally are 1 point ahead of me. One point ahead of me. So it is your turn officially this week, my friend. You're up first for the first time this season.
Let's go. The one caveat being that I did not check the list.
You're good.
I mean, we know that was out. But I do have the list at least right now. I know where it's at. I just need to look.
You're good. Throw out names. I got you covered.
Yeah, let's throw out a name here. So, boy. You know what, man? Should I do it here?
It's always the question.
Should I do it here? I don't really want to, but it's a signature event.
You can't use Jason Day.
I know. I'm not using him. Oh man, I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here. I want to go with Rory.
A lot of people are going with Rory this week. I get it.
Let's do it. It's not a major signature event. Let's go, Rory.
I understand it. Just for reference, I know you do have the list somewhere, but the only real big dogs you've burned that you got to be like wary of: Rory now, Sam Burns, JT, Jason Day, Adam Scott. So
Sam Burns, JT. Okay.
Yeah.
Not too many. I tried to really avoid like strategically this whole entire time until like now we start heating up though.
Yeah.
When we get into this type of season, I think that's when we start using more big dogs.
Who do I want to use here is the real question. I kind of want to use Spieth, but I feel like I got to save him for Texas at some point.
Oh my God, you would kill me if you used my boy here, but I get it.
Man, who do I want to burn here? This is a toughie.
Pavon.
Matthew Pavon. It might not be a terrible play.
No, I don't think so.
You know what? I'm good. I'm gonna go with my boy Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley.
Let's get it. Let's go. I like it.
Let's go.
All right. So that said, Jack, any final thoughts here? Looking forward to this one. Obviously, we both are. What are you looking forward to most, though? An outright?
Dude, yeah, I need it. And if I get one this week, I'll come back next week with this hat. I'll wear it as long as the heater goes because I am so due, man. These are the types of events that we love to watch. The true golf fans love to watch. The PGA Tour has yet to understand that. They go and cupcake the Cognizant Classic. They make it easier. They make more birdies out there. That ain't the shit we want to see, PGA Tour. We want to see what Bay Hill provides, a tough, demanding U.S. Open-like venue where the cream rises to the top, baby. Should be a good event, man. We got all the studs here. I really, and I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, I really feel like a big dog has got to come through, like, even just for the sake of the PGA Tour, man. Like, their stars,
they need it.
They have been underperforming, and look, I don't think Live is the most appealing product. I only have watched it this year when Pebble Beach got rained out, but there's no denying that they have good top of their leaderboards and they make for intriguing finishes. And when the PGA Tour just doesn't have that name value at the top going into that final day, it doesn't really hit the same. And we quite honestly haven't had that all that frequently this year. So I'm dying for a really good type of finish with some big names in the mix. I know the PGA Tour is dying for it too. So hopefully we get just that, my brother, and some money in our accounts by the end of Sunday as well.
Dude, I'm getting John Wayne of golf vibes from you right now, Jack. John Wayne doesn't miss. All right, he doesn't miss.
Bad motherfucker. I'm a bad
Clint
motherfucker.
Eastwood too. Like I'm like Clint Eastwood, punk. Like I'm getting some Clint Eastwood vibes too. Yeah, we're getting it outright this week. I'm super stoked. I think bringing the Bets show back here. We haven't done it for a couple weeks. Yeah, this is what we need to get back on track. Big dog, it's big dog season. I think somebody's going to come through at I don't know, like it's got to be 30-1 and under, right? Like it's the week for that. It's just my guess. So. Even though as much as I like Jason Day, is not quite in that range, but I think that's why I'm going to have to go with Rory. He just seems like my favorite here. I talked myself into it as soon as I did the one and done. Rory's getting an outright bet for me this week. As much as, I usually don't. Like, I'm going to have to use that boost. I'm going to have to go that 11-1 price and do it. But, yeah, man, Jack, this has been awesome. Do you want to go ahead and sign us out of here? And can we get an outright? Look, dude, look at this.
Oh,
I wore the Jesus piece just because I was feeling like that could be a difference maker too. If we're talking bets, please. I'm not superstitious. Just a little stitious.
Yeah. Just a little stitious. But to everyone out there who tuned into today's episode, thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're following Golf on Tap on either Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. We're up there now consistently as of recently. It won't cost you anything to follow along, and you'll get notified when all of the latest episodes come out. So make sure to go do that. Another quick plug to our sponsor over at Bet Rivers. If you're not already a member there, make sure you use the promo code ONTAP to get up to a $250 deposit bonus. And yeah, man, let's get the job done this week. I'm dying for an outright. Let's get one this week at Bay Hill. To everyone who tuned in, one more time, thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Crack 'em, lock 'em. We on out of here.